Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another tier list video. Now, this one's a little bit sillier than the previous. I don't know if anyone's going to find it as interesting as I do, but I thought it would be really interesting to go through and go back to all of the old Fnaf teasers. These are pretty much all of the Scott games and potentially Fnaf World teasers as well, from back in the day before, obviously, Scott sort of quote-unquote retired. And with the 11th anniversary happening, you know, recently, as of last week, that'd be a kind of a fun idea. I don't know. I just thought it was cool because some of them are kind of nostalgic to go back and look at. So, firstly, we have this one, which is like barely really a teaser, but this is just kind of like the original FNAF promotional image. And I mean, let's go in an S tier chat. I mean, like, dude, it's just iconic. This exact like pose and with the endos in the background and that like simple ass font, it is iconic. And that like exact Freddy pose has been referenced a billion gazillion times in FNAF itself. So it's genuinely just such a nostalgic, perfect thing. It kind of doesn't really count necessarily as a teaser. I mean, it is, but it's not the same as the next one, which was the very first teaser we got, I believe, in chronological order. I can actually fact check that with the archive. I actually have an archive pulled up which has them in order, and it does seem to be in order, so that's nice. FNAF 2 first teaser. Now this teaser is also going to S, and it's going over for me just because, dude, this was so hype, bro. I can't, dude. Okay, so not only is it a cool teaser because it's got Withered Freddy, and I still think Withered Freddy is the best Freddy design, but this was, you have to remember, man, it was such a big deal because FNAF had come out 2014, and then we got a sequel. Like, the first sequel, you have to understand, is way more hype than any other sequel. I mean, you could still be hyped for FNAF 3, FNAF 4, but like the hype of the very first sequel ever it hits different. It's a very classic teaser. As far as I remember, I don't think it has anything hidden in it. And we'll get to that soon when it comes to hidden teasers. But the next one was our first look at a toy animatronic, and that was the Something Borrowed Something New teaser for FNAF 2. And I think that goes in A tier, just because like that little like motif, which is like I think a wedding thing, because isn't it like something borrowed something old, something blue or something, some shit like that, some stupid shit like that. Anyway, this teaser's a classic. It was the first time we got to see a toy animatronic, and I really don't have a lot to say, actually. It's kind of a really simple teaser, but this like style of teaser, I guess, is what I was gonna get at, where you have like almost this like cryptic text that became such a popular thing in FNAF itself, and then also tons of fan games mimic this kind of style of teasers, which I fucking love. Now this one though, this one is so interesting, and I think that bumps it into S tier because I'm going to point something out to you that you may or may not have never noticed before. Here's two things I'm going to point out to you. I guess three even. This was obviously the third FNAF 2 teaser, but it was also our first look at Mangle. But if you pay attention, not only do we have a Pirate Cove curtain, but she also has a hook, which she absolutely, or I guess they, if you want to be super technical, don't actually have a hook in game. In fact, I think the only version of, you know, Mangle that has it is quote-unquote Funtime Foxy from FNAF World. Funtime Foxy in FNAF World has a hook. I think what's more interesting is if you look on the left, that's FNAF 1 Foxy. That is not Withered Foxy, and that is so weird. That has always been weird to me ever since I was a kid and the game came out, and I look back on that. Is that not weird to anybody else? Because one might say, well, maybe he didn't have Withered Foxy like cooked up yet, but he has Withered Freddy and Withered Bonnie? I feel like almost that the Withers might have been the first thing he made for FNAF 2. I have no proof of that, of course, but like that's weird. You know, it almost seems like FNAF 1 Foxy was originally going to be Withered Foxy, but at some point he changed his mind. Obviously, I'm just grasping at straws because we have no idea, but that's fascinating. What makes it even weirder is the No Place to Run teaser, which is also going into S tier, which has Withered Foxy in it. So the very next teaser has the new Foxy in it. So was it just like a mistake or an oversight? I don't know. This teaser is iconic though, because this is the first hint that we got of the mask. And I remember there were so many theories about the whole No Place to Run, and then you can see Foxy in the hallway there. Oh yes. Okay, so the next one, actually, this is the brightened up version, but there's technically, this version is a black screen, and all you can see is cam and like the little alert triangle. But if you brightened up the image, you could see the marionette, which this one is going in S tier, not only because Charlie is my goat, but also because this was the first teaser, I believe, that did the whole brightening it up trick, and that became a staple, and it's such a good teaser. It's so creepy too. The next teaser, I don't remember, was this a technically teaser for FNAF 3, or was it just, I don't know. I just remember this coming out after FNAF 2, and we kind of thought that maybe it was, I actually don't really remember much buzz about this offline teaser, so for that, I'm going to put it in C. Actually, you know what? I'm probably just going to put it in D. Because I can't remember if there was source code or not, but this is just kind of like, I'm done after FNAF 2. Yeah, next up was, okay. Look, I'm biased because of Charlie, but this one also has to go in S. I'm Still Here. The I'm Still Here FNAF 3 teaser is one of the most iconic FNAF teasers because of the amount of theories. I mean, FNAF 3 was so hype going into it because now the community had really formed, and there were so many theories about this image of Springtrap because of the angle most people at first thought this was Golden Foxy. And then I also remember to get like a full image, people would like copy it and then mirror it in Photoshop to make like a full face, and it was so weird. I might even do a video one day of like going back and ranking like really old theories where we had like no context, just to see how crackpot they were, because they were really funny. Ooh, this one's pretty good too. It's super simple, and I remember I used to mimic this all the time in Gmod by like making like pictures like this. The original like theory that came out of this was so iconic. Teaser, where should this go? Okay, actually, you know, I'm just gonna talk about it before I rank it just so I can get my thoughts out. So this teaser was so interesting because obviously off the bat you have 3, which confirmed this is Five Nights at Freddy's 3. Then there was the whole, you know, spotlight and then the box of toy animatronics, which was really fascinating to us. But if you brighten up the image, to the right of that, you can see our good friend Springtrap just hanging out. But at the time, we didn't know his name. And so we thought that this implied that Springtrap was some sort of amalgamation of some sort, which is kind of ironic considering that after an amalgamation happens in Fnaf, or in Fazbear Frights, but there were 2 names. There was Hybrid and Salvage. I think I was on the side of Salvage. I kind of liked it more than Hybrid, but those were the 2 names that were passed around so much. And I guess I'll say this too, since it's not technically going to be in here, but Springtrap's name was revealed in a Steam post. There was a Steam post that Scott did, I think, leading into FNAF 3. There were words that had double letters, and if you took all the double letters in order, it spelled Springtrap, which is what gave us his original name, which is a really cool way to do it. I know it's not going to be in here because it wasn't technically on the website, but because of that and like the community relevance, I think this one for me has to go here. It's not as cool as the fact that this is FNAF 1 Foxy, and it's not as cool as like the very first teaser for a new game, but it's very iconic just for the community's reaction to it. This was the he always does, and I don't want to flood S, so I'm going to put it at the top of A. This was the first real hint we got at Purple, which technically we already had Purple Guy in FNAF 2, but this was our first hint that like, hey, Purple Guy is going to be really relevant to the story. The killer is going to be really relevant to the story. This started the motif of he always comes back. I always come back. He always does. It's so hype. That's such a good classic line. I love that line. Matter of fact, that almost makes me want to watch the trailers. That's what I'm gonna do in the future too. I'm gonna do another tier list and we're just gonna watch the trailers for FNAF. That's gonna get hella copyright claimed though, because Scott used a lot of music in the early days that wasn't composed by like somebody commissioned, but that's besides the point. This teaser's just kind of mid. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think there was anything hidden in this teaser, and all it is the layout of Fazbear Frights, and it's also Scott's avatar just, you know, flipped over. I mean, it's a teaser. It's not really that interesting, is it? This was our first look at the Phantom animatronics, and Scott was doing a little bit of trolling because he said, guess who, ? Knowing that people fucking hated Balloon Boy. I think it's a really solid teaser. I think it's a good pose for Phantom Balloon Boy, just his face, and it's in the dark, and the whole guess who thing is kind of trolling a little bit, which I really like. So yeah, I'm gonna put that in a solid B. It's all in your mind. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, cool teaser, because we get to see Phantom Chica and Phantom Foxy, and the most interesting thing about this, I think people pointed out at the time, is obviously this is FNAF 1 Chica and Withered Foxy. This is a good teaser. I actually think this teaser is kind of hard. In fact, it's going top of A. I can't remember if the top hat was for FNAF 3 or FNAF 4, and it's interesting because it's vague. And then they did another one shortly after where the top hat was gone. So that was just an interesting thing. And according to my teaser archive website, it says that this was for FNAF 3, so I'm just going to trust them. And when you brighten it up, you don't get any secret goodies. So if I had to assume, this was one of the ones where he started doing source code stuff, but I'm not quite sure about that. Ooh, okay. So now we get into, I think, some of the hardest teasers. These ones go kind of hard. We get into the FNAF 4 teasers, or should I say Five Nights at Freddy's 4, the final chapter. Yeah, okay, Scott. Secret of the Mimic, if you don't count FNAF AR, would be the 11th official mainline FNAF game. If you count FNAF AR, it would be the 12th. So yeah, FNAF 4, the final chapter. This was pretty hype, because it was really confusing. Obviously, it's the design. This shit goes crazy. And I know I said in the character tier list that Nightmare Freddy is my least favorite Freddy, and I stand by that. But you have to imagine seeing this for the first time. You're like, what the fuck is that? And then like peep the frettles on him too. As much as I don't like overall Nightmare Freddy's design, the frettles on him will always go hard. God, and like the tip of the hat too, such a good teaser. And I remember too counting the fingers. That was a big deal. The theories went crazy. I think Nightmare Freddy goes right in, yeah, second of A. The rest of the Nightmare teasers, these ones lose a few points for me for one reason, okay? And you may disagree with me on this, but I stand by this. These teasers were teasing the Bite of 87 originally, because you have the was it me, or me thing. Because there's no reason that would be teasing the Bite of 83 because we didn't know the Bite of 83 existed. I think at some point in development, it was changed from the Bite of 87 to the Bite of 83. I don't have proof of this. But basically what I'm saying is by doing this teaser, he knew we would think about the Bite of 87. That's the reason I think the whole Fredbear and Friends thing happens on the TV in FNAF 4. I think that happens because the community thought he was talking about the Bite of 87, so he had to clarify by putting a cartoon that says 1983. The Bonnie one is fine. Bonnie's fine. He's mid. He's whatever. But the Chica one goes kind of hard. I think it goes top B because of the cupcake. Carl gives it some aura. But Foxy, shoo, this one goes S. It's the tongue, dude. This shit is so raw, bro. Obviously, Scott cut the tongue. That never actually made it into the game. Rest in peace. But I don't know. The pose, the eyes. Ooh. This next teaser was actually really, really good because this was like the second ever mention Fredbear's Family Diner. I think this is a solid teaser because it's obviously teasing Fredbear with the purple hat and purple bow tie, which at the time drew theories wild. When the community was still young, we actually thought William used the Golden Freddy suit, which there is some implication for. And obviously, I think in the Silver Eyes, he does use Golden Freddy for the missing children incident. But yeah, I don't even have to like talk about this. One goes on S. This is such a solid teaser. I remember too how many theories came from this because if you look inside of his belly, there's this one portion that kind of looks like the marionette's face, and I'm pretty sure it's just not. But it's kind of a cool motif almost, but it's such a cool teaser. I actually do like the plush trap teaser. Even if it was super confusing at the time, I'm gonna put it above Balloon Boy. The terrible things come in small packages. Plush Trap was such a confusing thing because I remember we saw it and we're like, that's Springtrap, but he's tiny? Now this one, I can't remember exactly when this came out. But if you remember, FNAF 4 was supposed to come out on Halloween of 2015, but I think it ended up coming out in like June or July because Scott just couldn't help himself. I am still curious if he ever really truly, by the time FNAF 4 came out, meant for it to be the last game. I know he's talked about in the past that like Sister Location was kind of made to answer some of the misconceptions of FNAF 4, and that's what he did for a lot of the game. So now we have the thank you teasers, and I'm only going to rank one of these because they're kind of this. We'll do these separately. But this was where we were slowly getting the reveal of FNAF World, the GOAT. Do not slander FNAF World or I will come for you. This was a really, really cool image. Actually, I'll rank the thank you and FNAF World posters separately. The thank you image was just cute, and I think it goes an S for that. It is such a cool thing. At the time, it was honestly low-key emotional. It was the end. Five Nights at Freddy's was over, and he put all the animatronics in one image, which is crazy that that's all the animatronics back in the day, because it already looks like a lot, but now there's like 20 billion more of them. But it was just cool seeing them all together and saying thank you. It was cute. It was a cute thing. But that obviously built up to, I think, like over the course of like a month, maybe even longer. He was slowly replacing each animatronic with an adventure animatronic. And it was a really, really weird time because people were so confused of what this could mean. Some were added, like the Paper Pals, some of the Phantom animatronics, as well as like repaired Mangle, unrepaired or unwithered like Spring Bonnie and stuff like that. So the FNAF World teaser is going pretty high just because I also think it was a cool thing that he did, just like slowly, subtly changing all of it and slowly revealing the word FNAF World. I just thought that was kind of cute. Plus FNAF World is goated. But next, we have these infinitely damaging quotes. The most damaging quotes in history. These were all three posted during like a Matt Pat stream. I can't remember if it was like supposed to be for charity or something like that. But we were theorizing, and we were theorizing hard, and then Scott started updating his website. He started talking to us live. Some of these quotes damaged the theory community permanently, and this was the catalyst for Dream Theory, which I've said this before. At the time, I do think Dream Theory was correct. Whether you liked it or not was not the argument, which, to be fair, the civil war that Dream Theory started wasn't even whether or not it was real or not. Most people kind of agreed that all the pieces kind of connected and made perfect sense. The problem was whether or not you liked it or not. Anyway, the first one, which is one that I've quoted a couple different times over the years, and there was even like a FNAF movie meme, which I really like, but it's, why is the tiny toy Chica missing her beak? This one goes in S tier just because it's an iconic quote to me. This is just kind of an ironic S tier. It's just really funny. It's a decent question, and it's an obviously intentional detail, and if you don't know what it's referring to, in FNAF 4, when you're walking home as quote-unquote David, you can come across a kid playing with toys, and they're seemingly the toy animatronics, which makes sense, right? But specifically, deliberately, Tiny Toy Chica's beak is off and on the ground. Not to mention, Scott put Dream Theory in the movie. Oh, wait, no, this one also is kind of hard, though. What is seen in the shadows is easily misunderstood in the mind of a child. That one actually is going in S tier as well. That's also a really quotable one, too. 4 games, 1 story. And this one's kind of mid, though, I'm not gonna lie. Because this one really wasn't necessary and was kind of annoying, but you know, kind of a nothing burger of a statement. Ooh, this is the first teaser for the Halloween update. I actually do like this teaser. It's simple, but I think it's very effective. The Nightmare BB teaser. I actually really like this teaser. This is really similar to the Guess Who teaser, but like way cooler. This like pose that he's hitting, you know, in the darkness, and then if you brighten up the image, you can see him say hello. Also, Nightmare BB's design is just really well done. Oh my god, this is an S tier. This might be my favorite one. You might be thinking, it's just a Freddy plush. What are you talking about? When you brighten up the image, you can see Nightmare-ion, or just Nightmare nowadays, behind the bed, which I don't think happens in game, but this goes so hard. You cannot tell me that is not one of the creepiest things in FNAF proper. The next one is the original announcement for the date for the Halloween update. And you can kind of see something in the background, which, like always, if you brighten the image, you can actually see a Nightmare Mangle, which was a really, really cool teaser, especially because Mangle was one of my favorite characters back in the day, and still kind of is. The design is perfect, so having a Nightmare version was very, very cool. This was a cool teaser. It was hype, but it wasn't anything like really crazy, so I'm gonna put it right behind Nightmare BB. It was cool. Just seeing Nightmare Mangle the first time was hype. See you soon. This one's kind of mid. This one's kind of mid because it's just Jacko Chica's jump scare, and it was just, you know, the Halloween update announcement. It's like, hey, we're doing something on Halloween, right? Which, don't get me wrong, the Halloween update was always a cool thing that he did, but it's just kind of mid. It's just Chica's jump scare, but it's the Jacko version, and it's not that interesting. What do we got next up? It's just a black screen. Oh man, wait, hold on. Wait, so we got some stuff to talk about with this one. So the way this tier list has this laid out is interesting. So this is literally just a black screen, but the black screen updated 2 separate times. This one was on FNAFworld.com, and this one scared me when I was a kid. This is just Hanging Mangle. And this one is gonna go to S tier because this one scared me as a kid. I remember when this came out. Randomly, you get Hanging Mangle. Legitimately, I'm not joking, when I was a kid, I thought Scott killed himself. I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking. I remember being so freaked out and scared by that. I was like, what? It would be 2015, so I was like 13 or something. And then the second one, this one's really weird because not enough people talk about this, but this was like, I think, one of the original implications. So I don't even know where to put this, to be honest with you. I'm just gonna put it there for now. This is one of the original implications that Mangle is a dog, and I know a lot of people tie it to being Susie's dog, which is an interesting idea, but because of this one being so interesting, I'm just gonna put it right next to the Hanging Mangle. It's such an interesting teaser. I don't know really what else to say about it. Ooh, we're getting into the Silver Eyes. Awesome. I talked about this in my Silver Eyes retrospective video, which I'll put in the top right corner right now. If you want to go watch that, I do recommend it. It's a fun little video. This was kind of hype because we really didn't know what this was at the time. This was before it was called the Silver Eyes. It was called Five Nights at Freddy's The Untold Story. And I don't think we knew it was a book at the time, but I think we slowly started finding out that it was. The Untold Story, what could that mean? I think a lot of people thought that it was going to be the games from William's perspective. At least that's what I did at first. We also obviously assumed it was going to be in the games. We didn't assume it was going to be its own continuity. We assumed it was going to be in the game's continuity, and it obviously ended up not being, because then this one gave us the date, which I'll just put right next to it, because it just said coming soon, and it's still Five Nights at Freddy's The Untold Story, but then it just gives us a date. Yeah, there is one where basically this teaser is just a teaser for the title, and the text just reads, title to be revealed soon, which is kind of funny to me, so I'm just going to put it right there. And then we have the full title and the release date, and you also have the FNAF 1 animatronics in the background, which goes hard, so I'm putting that at the top. I really, really love that. It goes so hard. It invokes FNAF 4 while also simultaneously being FNAF 1. It's really... FNAF World Christmas update added like new characters in the background. It's not, you know, it was a teaser for the update 2. I don't remember if it was specifically supposed to be a Christmas update, but it was update 2 teaser. And that's fine. It was okay. It was cute. That can go with FNAF World, I think. It's cute. It's celebratory. And the FNAF World 2 update as well. I mean, it's not really a teaser. It's just sort of the original image with, hey guys, you know... Update 2 is coming at some point, so I guess I'll just put that right there. It's not really that interesting. FNAF 57 Freddy in Space. I actually do remember this. This was obviously a teaser for update 2 as well, and I think I'll probably... I don't know, it's pretty funny, so it can go in an ironic S tier. Right, so this right here is the ironic S tier. Next, though, we have the slow reveal of the sister location title, and I'm only gonna rank the final one, but I'm gonna rank it in consideration with all these other. Basically, it randomly updated to this, and then over the course of like a month or so, we got more and more letters. And I remember people trying to piece together what it says before we had the full thing, and so some people got it very wrong. But we got this original teaser for Baby, and I think this teaser is, again, high up there for really, really good. It's just, it's Baby's face, and it's a clown, and it's so creepy, and you can barely see Five Nights at Freddy's. Ooh, okay, so the next one was the first like full reveal of Baby, and it's the whole like, please everyone remain in your seats, which was referring to the incident. This is a really good teaser. I think it's very solid. Baby's design goes hard. You know, it was teasing the story as well. Now this inner teaser though, He's going somewhere in S tier. I'll put it right there for now. This teaser was so interesting because the text reads, "There's a little bit of me in every space body," which is interesting. There were so many theories about this just because it was so weirdly worded, and so people thought that Innard was like the original and all this kind of stuff. It was a really, really weird time. I am surprised, though, looking back on it now, that Innard was revealed alongside Baby and none of the other fun time. Because Innard is like the final boss that doesn't get enough time to breathe, but he's like the conclusion of the story. So I actually, looking back on it, I'm actually surprised that we got Innard and Baby and pretty much no other fun time. Oh, we did. Oh, yeah, we got Biddy Babs. Okay. I remember this because people were like, the Baby has an army of babies. The Biddy Babs are still weird to me. This can go somewhere in A tier, probably like above that. It's a creepy teaser, don't get me wrong, and it was really fascinating when we first got it. The Biddy Babs still weird me out, though. I've talked about this before, I think, at the character tier list. We always debate whether the toys are directly haunted, but what about the Biddy Babs? Because I don't think so. They're probably injected with Remnant, but are they injected directly with Remnant in the sense that they have like slight consciousness similar to like, I guess maybe Mangle? If you, or even the sister location animatronics being animalistic is because they're not the direct souls, they're like the injection of pieces of the soul? Or is it more like the cupcake where like it's accepted that the cupcake is kind of a piece of Chica in a way? It's like an extension of her. So like, are the Biddy Babs an extension of her, Baby, or not? Because then you also have the mini arenas, which again, I don't think the dozens of mini arenas are also directly haunted. So they're really interesting to me. I don't think we talk about that enough. Maybe because it doesn't really matter, and I could agree to that. Get back on your stage now. This is an interesting one because it obviously hinted at the whole controlled shock thing. It's really cryptic. It's really vague, but obviously now that we had the benefit of hindsight, it makes perfect sense. And when you brighten the image, you can actually see the mini arenas in the background. I don't really think you can see Ballora, but I actually do think this is a solid teaser. I'm gonna put in A tier. I think it's a really solid teaser. Ooh, these are the anniversary teasers. I think the most interesting thing we got of these renders is like an unwithered FNAF 1 Foxy, as well as Springtrap, like without his suit on. Springtrap 1 obviously for me is going in S tier somewhere because it was just really cool to see Springtrap without his like suit on. I know there's like the secret screens, but it's not like the Freddy one is cute. It's just I love behind the scenes stuff, so it's gonna go in A. The Bonnie one also is going to go in A. The Foxy one gets to go slightly higher because it's, like I said, it's an unwithered FNAF 1 Foxy, which is really, really interesting to me. The Chica one just kind of shows off the models. It's not necessarily anything super interesting. And these two are just the FNAF 1 jump scares, which I actually do like seeing, actually, now that I think about it. That is cool to see. Now, the next one, though, this is where it got really juicy for a while. So there was this little bit of arc that we went on with Sister Location, where Scott was kind of trolling, but it was also kind of relevant to the story. He kept saying that like this was like the most fucked up game that he made, and that it was like really, he didn't know if he wanted to release it or whatnot, and that ended up being a troll game. But he kind of did keep that attitude for a while, just to build up to it. And I think there were leaks, real leaks that did happen for Sister Location, because I think when he was hiring voice actors for the first time, you know, he listed some of the characters, and that's when we got the first names for some of the Sister Location animatronics, which is kind of what led to Adult Theory. People heard the name Funtime and were like, anyway, dude, Adult Theory was so awesome. But this was such a cool way of like meta marketing. So it's like, it's relevant if you were keeping up with the fact that there were actual leaks, but it's also, with the benefit of hindsight, relevant to the story because you brighten up the image. I think there's a news article talking about Circus Baby's Pizza World's gas leak. So this was obviously relevant to the story because for anyone who doesn't know, I assume if you're watching this video and are still watching it, you probably do know the whole thing with Sister Location. The reason that Circus Baby's Pizza World closed was because on day one, there was a alleged gas leak. I think this one was really fucking cool because it's like meta marketing, and so I'm gonna put it right there. That's just cool. This one is just Innard's mask, and I think if you brighten it up, you get the release date. Not particularly interesting, but it's similar to the you know what? Actually, I'll go right there. Just because Innard's mask is really creepy with the broken jaw and stuff like that. This did start the trend, though, of Innard always like missing one eyebrow sometimes, but not all the time. Really weird. The next teaser is just sort of the map. So this is similar to the FNAF 3. It's more interesting to me because you have the names of the locations, but it's not that crazy. There's nothing you can really derive from it. Is there anything hidden? I don't think there is. No, there's not anything hidden. So yeah, it's not that interesting. This next one is basically the same teaser, just with the teaser of like the date revealed, which is less interesting. It's still cool looking though. It's just not as cool as this one. Now with this one, it's the same, but the Innard mask disappeared, which I think is kind of a reference to it disappearing in the game. But because of that, it's not really that interesting. It's just gonna go right there. It does have lore implications, so I could bump it up to like top of D, but like it's not really that interesting. And then obviously the screen goes black and there's nothing, so that gets to go in F, I guess. I'll put both blacks in F. That sounded kind of weird, didn't it? Ooh, the first custom night teasers. This was kind of neat. I think some people do forget that wasn't a thing that launched with the game. That was an update that came later. Free update, and it had a lot of cool stuff in it. But this image is really cool just because it doesn't happen. So I mean, I think it's like a you know, Bonbon at no point in Custom Night can be seen in the vent. Biddy Bab, yes, but not Bonbon. So it's just a cool image. The Funtime Freddy one is cool, but it's not really anything super interesting. So I think it goes like right here. Chica, I think it goes like right there. This is just the announcement for FNAF World coming to iOS and Android. So I don't feel like we need to rank that, do we? This is just another black screen, which is awesome. We love black screens. Twisted Ones. Ooh, interesting. I forgot that that's how he teased Twisted Ones. He just started posting "She Who Shall Not Be Named." The only thing that's hidden in the background of Twisted Freddy is numbers. I can see them. I just don't remember what they mean personally. I don't hate this picture, but we do have to take into account the person who drew it. So like, I'm gonna put it right there. I think I'm gonna do the same. Even though I actually do like Twisted Bonnie's like mouth design, you know, I think we gotta sacrifice. You know, you were drawn by an interesting individual. And Twisted Wolf can go an F. Twisted Wolf is such an annoying character because they just don't do anything with him. Like, he's not special in the book if you've read the Twisted Ones, and he's also who the fuck is Wolf? Who is that? Like, who's bro? You don't even have a name. Your name is just Wolf. Okay, at least Roxanne has a name. You're just Wolf. It's like a Deadpool 2 with fucking whatever that guy's name was. Was it Peter? I don't remember. Again, I like Foxy's design. You know, and we're being a little bit biased here, but I don't think anyone's gonna be mad. More Twisted Ones reveals. More Twisted Ones reveals. The thing is, I don't even hate that book either. This one is interesting because for anyone like me, when I was a kid, I stalked these websites. Every time I got home from school, unironically, one of the first things I did when I got on my computer was I'd actually just type in SC and it would immediately autofill to scottgames.com, enter. And if that had nothing new, FNAFworld.com. And this image of what I'm pretty sure is Scrap Baby, but this was our first look at her, because I think the name of the image is like I'm Still Here or whatever, which is obviously kind of a reference to FNAF 3, so that's kind of like a cool callback because it's his daughter. This image was on the website for so long, and because of that, it goes into a pretty high S tier for me. Here we had another anniversary set of images, and Freddy without his head. I mean, it's, you know, it's interesting, but it's not like anything crazy. I love seeing behind the scenes. You know, the Freddles is cute as well. That's cool to see. Another Springtrap one, which I actually really like. It doesn't hit the same as the first time you see it, but I'm actually just going to put it somewhere in S as well. Actually, you know what? We'll put it right there. We'll put it right there. This baby one goes kind of hard because she's like holding her head like a basketball. So that goes kind of fucking hard. We'll put that in the ironic S tier, I guess. Funtime Freddy hit the splits as well. That definitely can go up there as well. Fucking, what is this guy's name? Fucking Joe? I forget this character's name. He can, I don't know, man. He can just hang out, I guess. I don't know. He seems kind of chill. Exotic Butter's easy S tier, obviously. I mean, I don't really feel like I gotta explain that one. This evil ass looking dude, I don't like the way he looks, so he's going bottom B. He's fucking freaky looking. And then another one, I think of Parts and Service, which was kind of an interesting camera render to see from this angle. So right there, I think that's kind of interesting. This first image has like nothing really going on. This has like, when you brighten it up, one like line that comes down, and this one has like strings. So it's like a puppet pulling the strings, I guess, is what you can interpret that as. But this was an interesting teaser, I think, because it was, you know, more's coming. It was slightly thought-provoking. I'm gonna put it somewhere with, I think, like offline. Ooh, this was on the website for a long time too, so this is actually kind of iconic as well. This is gonna go somewhere in A tier, I think, because it's iconic. We really didn't know what this meant for the longest time. Some people thought it was like FNAF World 2. I'm gonna put this with it as well. Freddy juggling pizza as well. I think maybe at this point people started theorizing that this was like a simulator game at this point. I don't really know how people came to that conclusion, but I think that's what was going on at the time. There's not a lot to say about it, unfortunately. The next one is when Baby closes her eyes, so that's going right next to the one with her eyes open, because like I said, these were on the website for so long, and I think FNAF World, until that website was taken down, the closed eyes thing was there for actually forever. This is obviously just the announcement for FNAF 6, and because it's just sort of pixel art, it's not that interesting, but it's keeping with the same theme, because Pizza Sim FNAF 6 is one of the most fascinating FNAF games, right? Because not only was it free, it was the first free FNAF game. It was not marketed at all to be what it actually is. All we have is like the teasers of Freddy, right? And that's it. We just had these like pixelated teasers. That's all we had. And then we get some of these, which just show you like, you know, the mini game at the beginning of the game, and this just counts down to the release date. So we'll put that. We'll put it next to it. It's cool to have a countdown, right? So we just didn't know what this was. I think even now, still, to this day, I think if you go to the FNAF 6 Steam page, all of the screenshots still, to this day, the screenshots that we've been looking at, right? These are not super special. And even this video does not tell you what this game actually is. And it's not marketed as FNAF 6. But I just remember everyone's reaction of when you first see Baby at the very beginning of the game. It's so good. That almost makes me want to put it kind of higher just because of that hype, that aura. But yeah, with the first UCN teaser, I mean, it was cool because we had no idea what this meant. So I'm gonna put it in C because we had no idea what this was. And I think the second one is the one that refers to it as custom night. I think that's when he added custom night to the top of the screen. Yeah, and these two images are basically the same, so I'm just gonna add this. And I don't really know how to rank these, but this was him filling out the roster for UCN. I'm gonna rank it all at once, but it's similar to the FNAF World teaser, but I think even more hype. This was a cool teaser. Just slowly revealing more and more of the characters of the roster was really exciting. Oh, and then we had the new office under construction announcement, which is a cool thing, but not super duper interesting, right? I can't really take a lot from this, okay? So I'm gonna put it like right there. Actually, you know what? I'll put it right here. Right here. But then we got the first reveal of the UCN office. Seeing the UCN office for the first time was cool. I remember a bunch of people talking about it and how it's like a mishmash of everything. It's very cool. I don't think I'll put it around like the FNAF 6 teasers, I think. It was cool. It was cool. And then this as well, same thing. I'm going to rank it as a concept. Basically, while he was making UCN, he was just updating us on the amount of characters that he had programmed. So he just gave us like a percentage bar on how close he is to finishing the game. So I think that's cute. It was fun. It was interactive for the community. I think it goes top of C because it's actually, you know what, it gets to go a low B because it was hype. It's one of those things where going back and looking at it, like now, this is kind of like why there's so many, you know what I'm saying? But like when you put yourself in the perspective of back then, it was kind of cool too. Also the reveal of Dee Dee and her mysterious second roster. So I think I'm going to put that as a reveal pretty, I'm just gonna put it with the other UCN ones, 'cause I think that's just cool. Then we had this one, which was, I'm low-key putting this in S tier somewhere, dude. I don't even care. This like original like Fredbear teaser, even if it's still annoying that Fredbear for some reason looks like classic Freddy, it's really weird. I know Secret the Mimic kind of tries to solve that a little bit, but it's still weird. It was just an aura. It's an aura picture. Just look at that picture. It's aura. Then we went black because UCN was over. UCN was over, so it got bookended. And that was FNAF for a while, ladies and gentlemen. That was FNAF for a while. But then we got our first teaser for Help Wanted. And this teaser is interesting because in this poster, you can see Spring Bonnie, right? The yellow rabbit. Isn't that rather interesting? And this gets to go pretty high because of the trivia behind this. So not only do I think this actually is a cool kind of idea of having like the animatronics all like melted together as like a poster. I think it's a cool looking poster. However, it was found that that is actually a fan model, or at least based on a fan model of Spring Bonnie. I think it was actually Pop Goes in particular. People pointed out to Scott that this was kind of, you know, a problem, and they replaced him with Nightmare Own. If you look at the modern poster, it's Nightmare Own in his place, which is really interesting. Ooh, these teasers are kind of cool, but they're not all created equal. So these teasers are obviously in-game screenshots of the gameplay, and they have like this grainy filter over it that makes it kind of mysterious. I like this baby one. This baby one is kind of cool. It's creepy. It's really cool looking. The Springtrap one as well, I think is gonna go right next to it. It's just kind of got aura to it. These ones are boring. It's just the parts and service repair mini games, but like it's just a picture of Chica. Essentially, you know, it's just a picture of Chica and basically Bonnie. It's just not that interesting. It wasn't even really that interesting back then. Plush babies, these little goobers, dude. I think I'm gonna put that somewhere like right here. Seeing the plush babies for the first time was kind of cool. Wait, this one is crazy. I forgot about this. I don't remember what this was for. I actually don't remember what this was fully. I don't remember what this was. I actually can't remember. This is the same deal. It's kind of cool seeing Freddy opened up, but that's just, you know, those animatronics. This was the full reveal of the FNAF Help Wanted poster, and you could obviously see that Nightmare Own is replaced. Good old Spring Bonnie. That can go in like B tier, I think. It's cool to see the full reveal of the poster, you know, but it's not like super duper interesting or anything like that. Ooh, okay, no, this is okay. I'm actually kind of excited to talk about this. This is the original, the OG Security Breach teaser. Now this image, okay, I'm bringing it up just for now. We're just gonna put it right here for now. This image is so iconic to me because this is obviously the very, very, very first look we ever got for Security Breach, and this was like, I think we got this image in like 2019. And as you can see, it says 2020, and Security Breach should not come out in 2020. It came out in December 2021. And you can tell, obviously, this is just concept art. And I guarantee you this image was made before they really had anything done with the game at all. But I think one of the more interesting things, Roxy seems to be, at least in my opinion, wearing sort of a skirt of sorts, which obviously I don't think the Roxy personality-wise that we got in Security Breach would wear a skirt personally. But again, it's concept art, so it's all subject to the change. The fact that I have nostalgia for it and I love Security Breach is probably going somewhere right around here. I like it a lot. It's not going over in fact, the meta one can go up a little bit actually, but yeah, I think it goes like right around there for me. This image is kind of funny. This one goes to S tier because I don't know how many of you get the joke immediately, but this was for Freddy in Space 2, which was the game that was made for MatPat's charity stream, and it's obviously a reference to the fact that Freddy in Space 1, which is called Fnaf 57, so 58 was a teaser for that, which I thought was really cute. And then in the background, if you brighten up the image, you can see like fake reviews for the game. I think it's a good joke. It's a good bit. It's a good bit. It's a good bit. Then we got this Freddy in Space 2 teaser, which is ironically, technically, the very first true time we saw Roxanne Wolf. Okay, and it's a really crazy drawing, to be honest with you. Technically, we did see her in the Security Breach teaser. Technically, if you want to get technical, but this was like our first full Roxy. I mean, she has her green hair, tough, and everything. Ooh, okay, so these two are basically the same, but this one adds Vanny in the top corner, so I'm gonna rank that one. So this one's cool because it's basically just the same concept art of like Freddy performing, but you have Vanny obviously up in the back. This was hype because, look, Vanny had so much buildup, and this is gonna go somewhere in like A, I think. Vanny had so much buildup, dude. People forget this so hard, bro. She had so much buildup in Help Wanted and the DLC. She had more buildup in, even if some of them weren't actually put into the game, like they were cut content, there were so many emails in FNAF AR that also were building up Vanny as a character. And then, you know, I was so hyped in all the trailers, and she's dancing around, she's being all creepy, and then she's just barely in the game, dude. I love Security Breach. I love Steel Wool's era FNAF. I really do, okay? But bro, Vanny is still the biggest fumble that I cannot forgive. She has such a cool design, a cool concept, and they fumbled it so hard, bro. The original FNAF AR teaser. Oh my gosh. That's actually kind of nostalgic. Look, as bad as the game was overall, I actually think this is a cool teaser. It was the second studio to ever touch FNAF that isn't just Scott. And I think it's actually a cool teaser, seeing the new models as well. I'm gonna put it somewhere in B. Yeah, I'm gonna put it somewhere in B. I think it was a cool teaser for what it was. It was a cool teaser for what it was, I think. These next two are just for Fazbear Frights. One of them's for Fetch, and one of them's for Lonely Freddy. They're not really that interesting. I mean, Fetch is a decent story, I guess, but the teaser itself is just kind of like whatever. I'm gonna put it, I'm just gonna put it here. I'm not gonna lie to you. They're whatever teasers. Lonely Freddy can go or F to you. I don't know. Oh, our first look at Monty. We got a little Monty teaser. That's pretty hard. It's not as good as the Freddy one because it doesn't have Vanny in it, and I also don't fuck with Monty, so you can go down there, buddy. No, these teasers are actually so good. So our first look at Vanessa, which just says Protect. I really like this. It's cool. She looks good. I'm gonna put the first Vanessa teaser at B tier because she's pretty much one of the first human characters in FNAF 2, like that we ever see. So that kind of helps. This is iconic. This one's going in S tier. The Obey and then the knife, even though she doesn't have a knife in game, because Scott for some reason doesn't want to depict her with knives. I don't know why. This is a good teaser. This is a good teaser. I love this teaser. It's so good. It's iconic to me. Vanny has such a good fucking design. Then we have the reveal of like Chica's concept art, which is cute. It's cool. I'm gonna put it next to Freddy. Then we have Roxy, the goat. The goat. Even though she still has, does she still have her skirt in this, or did they update the design? Hold on, let me look. Get a better look. They did update the design. Yeah, she's got more like shoulder pads now. And then we have the actual, I think this actually came before some of the stuff I ranked, but this is just the Security Breach poster, which, you know, much like Help Wanted, I'll just put there. This one, man, this is technically, I think this is the last ever that we got. This was the last teaser that Scott did for his websites. It's not really a teaser. He just kind of stopped interacting with the community directly because he never really retired. He still writes books. He's still involved in that. He's heavily involved in the movies. He's heavily involved in the games. He's not gone. He's just kind of faded into the background a little bit. But he wanted to be more private, and he wanted to be a little bit farther back because he had like his 6th kid at this point, which is crazy, Scott, but good for you, I guess. But essentially, Scott got bullied off the internet for a hot minute. And it was because it was discovered that he donated to something, I can't remember exactly, but something that was adjacent to like Trump's campaign originally in like 2017. He didn't donate directly to Trump. He donated to something that was adjacent to Trump. And people lambasted him for it. And I really didn't like it because people got nasty. I'm putting it in S tier just because I think the drawing is cute and it's a heartfelt message. Okay? It goes in S tier. I'm not even gonna get into it, but I just thought it was really annoying that he got bullied off the internet. I don't give a shit about the whole politics side of it. Okay, he didn't. I don't know. People tried to put words in his mouth to why he did that, to what he donated to, basically. But anyway, I don't want to leave the video off on a sour note by getting caught up in that. Okay, ending it with a cute, fan art from like an 8-year-old is cute and it's wholesome, and I miss Scott Cawthon, but I'm glad he's still around and he still talks to us and he's not fully gone. But that did mark the end of an era. This video was random, I know. If you watched it all the way to the end, I thank you. This was just a fun time to just josh around. Thank you for the support on the most recent videos. Like and subscribe if you're new here, and let me know, your experiences with all these, like how you feel about all these teasers and how nostalgic they are, and your experiences with FNAF. I'd like to read them. I like reading the comments. Thank you for watching again this random ass video. Bye bye.